It's live now.
Okay, okay. Um, but yeah, hi guys. Welcome to our very last workshop. We're gonna be basically covering like the F outreach and like what that means in the first tech challenge. And also we're gonna go over like competitions, awards, and judging and just like give you guys a big like debrief on all of that. So just like going over the structure of today's workshop, the start is gonna be like there's gonna be like a lot of information, a lot of content. So I would recommend you guys like take notes on like the beginning half of the workshop. But then at the end we do have like more of a fun activity for you guys to like balance out the like more like the like listening and all of that. But yeah. Um so I think we're just gonna go first to like a quick introduction by Lane. You wanna, yeah.
Okay.
How do you? Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so this is just a quick introduction of our team. We're from 7th to 12th grade. Our team is consisted of 7th to 12th graders with 15 members, and we've won the Award at Washington State Championships 4 times. Um, we've been World Division finalists 3 times, and in 2024 we won the Motivate Award. Our team mission is to promote STEM and FIRST
Wait.
within our community to help establish the next generation of innovators.
You could probably skip that. But yeah, this is just like a very quick slide about first, but I'm sure that you guys already know what it is. We've covered it a lot in like our previous workshops. So I think we can just skip that slide if you want to go into the next one.
Okay.
Yeah. And just like for the, oh, sorry, do you want to?
So this is just a quick overview of like the 3 main FIRST programs. So First Lego League, First Tech Challenge, and then First Robotics Competition.
And just for like a quick announcement, we are still hosting a Spike Kit drive. So if you guys have like any spare parts from like the Spike Prime robot kit, or if you have like any like old game missions that you're not using anymore, we would appreciate any donations as these all go to underserved communities. Um, but yeah, just if you're interested, you can like tell us or email us. And then also, this is our last workshop. And so we are giving $100 grant to like any team that is formed like directly from our team. And I know a couple of you guys are like, we have like a couple of teams that have already gotten grants before. But again, like if you aren't on a team, if you want to be on a team or if you want to create a team, as always, reach out to us for like the grant or for like mentorship opportunities. But yeah, you're always here. Okay. Do you want to talk?
Okay, so I'm gonna go over team structure a little bit. So, structure is basically like how members are organized in your team, right? So this is really critical for large teams because FTC teams can go up to like 15 people, but it's also important for small teams. Because we want to make sure that our teams are organized so we can be more efficient at meetings and etc. And so in our team's case, we have sub teams which are outreach, mech, and programming. And within these subgroups, we also break it down even further. So in the mech team, we'll have specific people working on specific modules on the robot. And on outreach, we'll have some people working on some outreaches while some other people work on others. And this allows each member to participate in each component. And this is also useful in judging and self-growth because in the end, we're all here to learn and to contribute as much as we can. Okay, so leadership, generally, the best way to go about this is to have captains. And so one role of a captain is to work with the coaches to plan like long-term goals in the team. And they also have the role of leadership, so they can give tasks to the people in their group. And another really important thing they should do is create timelines and be responsible for the success of the team. Because when you have like competition going up, you want to make sure that you're setting realistic timelines and enforcing them. And so it's really important that we have captains. And leads are people in training for possible leadership positions in the future, for example, being a captain. and they can lead smaller teams, and they're responsible for executing smaller tasks. So yeah, in our team, as I mentioned, we have the same structure. So we have co-captains for outreach, mechanical, and programming, and then under them we have a specific amount of people dedicated to these different regions. And we also have a drive team. And also, if anyone has any questions during the workshop, please raise your hand. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So leads and people under them. Okay, so sustainability is also important because if you want to keep your team going even after everyone graduates, it's important that you keep recruiting every year. And some tips for these is that you should recruit from diverse grade levels and skill sets so that there are a wide range of skill sets available for your team. And also, there aren't like a huge amount of people graduating in the same year, which would happen if everyone was in the same grade. And it's important to train new recruits when you receive them and to train them into new leadership positions as well so you can continue the structure of your team. Yeah, so another important part about this is that during judging, judges are going to ask you about how you recruit people and how you keep your team sustainable. And so it's important that you know how to do this and you keep the team in sustainability, which is going to help you in judging later on too. And yeah, another tip is don't recruit up to 15 people because unless people graduate the following year, because 15 people is a lot of people. And you should host interviews or get have a recruitment form so that you aren't just like accepting everybody, but you know that they're actually passionate about robotics. Okay. Also, and if you are affiliated with any school, it's also important to come from a wide array of different schools if you can, because what this is going to do, it's going to help you connect with more people. It's going to help you get more outreaches, and it's going to help you like find out more events in general. And summer training is also an important part. A lot of people think that summer might be like a time to slack off because like it's not during the robotic season, but summer is is when a lot of the improvement happens. So it's important that teams host summer trainings or like just try to catch other members up to speed on anything that they need to learn over the summer. Okay, so coaching and mentoring is also really important. So you can have two coaches and they can be like on the one on the technical side and one on the non-technical, as in one helping like you build and CAD, and the other could be helping like outreach. And coaching for parents is a high time commitment, and their primary job is to guide the team and also handle finances and logistics, which are like probably too much for like the students to handle on themselves by themselves. And then mentors are also necessary. So mentors can be anyone who can help you with anything on the team. So it can be finances, it can be building, it can be outreach, connecting with people. So if you ever need help, you can like reach out to adults, and that would qualify as getting a mentor. Okay, so competition debrief. I'm gonna go over like the structure of the first competition, the FTC competition. So this is the tournament structure. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this, but basically we start off with League Meet 1, which is in early November, and they have qualification matches. And then League Meet 2, which follows Meet 1. It's similar, but it's in early December. And in these two league meets, everyone competes. And then after that is Interleague, which is also everyone, and it's in late December to early January. It has qualification matches, but this is where we start to see those elimination matches where they're going to choose some of the better teams. And that's also the first time we're going to see judging and awards, which is when you actually they're actually judges who are going to be present at the tournament. And then they added this new thing called semifinals, which is new this year. It's 4 to 6 teams selected from each interleague, apparently, and it's in January. And then afterwards is states, which is all the teams who qualified to go to states from semifinals, and that's like throughout all of Washington, and it's hosted. It okay, and it's like in January or February, and four teams from states move on to Worlds, which is in April, usually in Houston. Okay, so methods of progression. So in terms of the, oh yeah.
So in the qualification round, do they give any points? Do we know like are we progressing to the next level or
Oh, so like like as you're matched up with other teams, like and you're like progressing through the rounds, there's like a ranking system based on like how you win, how many points you score, stuff like that. And based off of that, there's a ranking system, and I believe like the top like how many teams? Some number of teams from the top are going to advance to the next round.
so
Yeah.
in the League One also will get some points, some rating in the
Um,
qualification rounds.
I think basically like for League One and League Two, like they don't like your placement in the robot game, it doesn't necessarily like determine the outcome of your competition,
Uh,
but like they do it does play a role in interleague because like if you end up ranking like number one in your league for in like the League Two competition, that's gonna be your rank going into interleague. So, but like generally the main goal of League One and League Two, because there's no judging, because like everybody's robots are like kind of like not built well, like the main idea is just to like kind of get experience, test your robot out, and like get that driving practice with like other teams in. And then Interleague is like where you kind of want to like lock in and like prepare for like the upcoming competitions. Does that kind of answer your question?
so by interleague, they need to be like fully built pro.
Yeah,
yeah, pretty
generally.
much.
That's where I found it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also just adding like it is also like definitely harder to like add changes to a robot or like build a whole new robot in between like the competitions, especially when you get to interleagues, because like there's only gonna be like a few weeks in between each competition. So you really want to have like a solid base idea by like interleague. And you don't want to change like too much like going in between. Yeah.
So yeah, going back to this, in terms of the robot, they're going to be qualification matches where random teams are placed together in alliances. And alliances are basically teams of two since the games are 2v2. And this determines the ranking, as I mentioned before. And at the very end, there's something called alliance selection, where the top four people, the top four teams in the ranking, choose their alliance. And an alliance is a group of three teams. So at the end, you have four alliances of three teams each, and then they compete. The alliances compete against each other. And we'll be going over that in a second. But do you have a question? How many teams? I'd say like
For sure.
30.
Or like not for each though, because like state is definitely like a lot less, right? Like
Yeah.
compared to
So it depends on the competition, but generally they're gonna split you up into different like regions, and then within that region, I'd say like maybe 30 or 20 to 30
yeah, 20 to
teams.
30 teams.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You're saying that there's an alliance section, um, but aren't all of the matches done with like two teams versus two teams?
Yeah, so
Right.
you can kind of think of like the ending, like the alliance selection, as like a different phase. So first we have like all the elimination matches, right? And then you get like a whole like ranking of all the teams, right? And then after that, it's kind of like a different like it's kind of like different where you only have like the top four teams, right? Like they choose like a group of like they choose their own alliance and then they like play off against each other. So like it's only like I don't know how to
It's
describe it.
still 2v2,
Yeah.
but since the alliances are groups of three teams, they're going to choose two of the three teams to send in. And then it's so when an alliance goes against another alliance, it's a best of three. So they have to win two games out of three. And for each of those games, they're gonna send two of their uh teams in their alliance out of the three.
Yeah.
And you have to you're required to swap out between the matches. So you're required to swap out at least one team. Well,
So
one team.
that'd be like a little hard to understand, but yeah.
That like
Yeah, you'll like know if you're in top four and if you're like being a captain, if you are a
Yeah.
captain, yeah.
So
Because
like the leaderboard thing, it updates every single round.
yeah. So like you'll yeah.
Yeah. Huh?
chosen for the alliance, does that mean you're winning?
pretty
Yeah.
much, yeah.
But I mean, you're still eligible for like awards and stuff, and that way you can still get like to the next competition through awards. So it's not the end of the world. Um,
Last question. So on the 12 matches, alliances are two teams, and in the alliance section, alliances are three teams.
Yeah, so it's kind of um like each alliance, like each game, there's only like a 2v2, right? Like all of the games are 2v2. But like for the alliance selection, you basically get like your own like each captain have has like two groups that they can like choose from and that they can like match with for each separate match. So like they like yeah, so like it stays the same with that, like you only have 2v2, so like only two teams per game. But like you kind of get like more strategy with it because you have like more um flexibility, more like team, more like robots that like you can work with, if that makes sense. Yeah.
The alliance of example team can take two of their allies.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that'll be a set of three teams, and then they can choose in each round who's in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But in the 12 matches, it's only two teams randomly paired together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So in the qualification matches, all the rounds are predetermined, so you don't have any say in who your alliance partner is because that's decided by like the FTC thing. And in alliance selection, you get to choose your team. Yeah. And so judging, we'll go over that later, but that's another way to qualify to the next stage. And judges can give awards. There are different types of awards, and there's first, second, and third um, most of the time. And yeah, some can qualify you to the next round. And yeah. So here's I'm not sure if you guys have seen this already, but this is the center stage video, which was the last season's game. And at the beginning, they briefly explain how, like, what an alliance is. So we'll be playing the video for a few seconds.
Welcome to the game center stage presented on teams. A team consists of up to two driver operators, a human player, a coach, and a robot. Each match is played with four randomly selected teams, two per alliance. Each alliance is allowed one human player. Your opponent for one match may be your partner for another. Robots must be built from materials specified in the game manual and fit within an
Okay.
18-inch size.
Well, that was short, but basically, so this is like the season video. So at this event called Kickoff, they announced what the game is. And last year, yeah, they always started off with the same thing, and that's about how alliances work. Wow.
And
Okay, so a little bit more about alliance selection once you get to like the end of your all the predetermined rounds. So it's a system where the top four teams, they're called captains because they're going to be choosing the teams in their alliance. The captains use scouting and other data to pick the teams that they want to partner with. Because imagine you're a captain, you're probably going to want to pick the teams that have robots that fit really well with your robot, right? You want to collaborate, and collaboration's one of the most important parts of alliance selection. And so they can have pick two teams from their seed, so the first pick and the second pick, and they can also be a captain of another seed, which means that if you're in first place or second place, let's say, you can also pick the team that's in like third place or fourth place. So you can pick other teams in the top four. But what that means is that if they do accept the alliance, so let's say team one picks team four and they do accept the alliance, that means team five, which is the next up in the ranking, is going to become an alliance captain. And uh, how it works is that seed one and four, which is alliance one and four, compete in a best of three match, and then two and three compete. And then at the end, the winners of each best of three compete for the finals. Yeah.
So, be like set time that you have a time scout on the game.
Yeah. So alliance selection is like this big event where you have like a representative from your team come up. And then it's like you have to like stand in front of everyone and then say if you accept the alliance or not. And yeah, so you have to decide before then. So what a lot of teams do is they're going to be scouting during the matches and they're going to be scouting like before like if they even know their ranking to make sure. And yeah, so there are websites like ftcscout.org, which some teams use that's like useful for scouting. And then some people, like some teams, such as ourselves, we use manual spreadsheets to keep track, um, to keep data on like the teams. And we also keep track of a lot of different types of data, like what kind of mechanisms they have, how many points they can score, and also like how well they've done in the past, and etc. Yeah, so now on to awards.
Yeah, so I'll go over all the like possible awards that are that you can win in FTC. So first of all, we have the Innovate Award. And that is basically kind of like a very like mechanical focused award, and it's given to the team that like best that has like generally like the best design and the design process for their robot. Um and it also is like heavily based on like the EP because that is like usually the main way that teams are able to show the judges their process and their design. So yeah,
And the EP is the engineering portfolio, which we'll go over later.
yeah, I forgot to mention that. But yeah, so moving on, we have the Control Award, which is kind of the same, like it's kind of like the software version of the Innovate Award. It basically is like given to the team that demonstrates innovative thinking in like the way that they program their robot and like their software. And again, also heavily based on the EP. And you also, just to note, you also do have to submit a separate like page or like an app, not an application, but like you have to submit, write out like a separate page and like portfolio to submit for the Control Award. So you don't want to forget that if you want to win that award. And then finally, we have an outreach award. This one is the Connect Award, and it's mainly like for the team that like best connects with the professional community. So that would be like teams like attending like conferences or like having good mentor connections. And yeah, so that is like one outreach award. There are two. And this is the second one. So the Motivate Award is again another outreach award, and it's like a more general award of like how well you spread first to your local community, and like not just first but like STEM and like in general, and how well your team is able to outreach to your local community. Um but yeah, and it just covers all of that. So okay, and then finally we have the design award. Um, it is a little bit similar to Innovate, except that it kind of looks like overall at like the look of the robot, the design of the robot, and like whether you know like and how like your process and like designing that design. And it looks at like a lot of documentation too, similar to all the other awards. But yeah, this is gonna be like the second mechanical award, I believe. And then finally, we have the Think Award. The Think Award is definitely heavily based on like your engineering portfolio, but it's generally just decided like given to the team that like best conveys like best conveys like their journey and like their process throughout the whole competition in terms of like not only mechanical but also like software and like outreach and just like everything. So yeah. And this kind of leads into the next award, which is the Inspire Award. The Inspire Award is like the most prestigious award in the First Tech Challenge competition. And typically teams that do win this award, they are going to be like contenders for like all the other awards. So like, you know, like for example, if a team is like maybe like first place in Think Award, second place in like Innovate, and like third in like Motivate, then like they'll usually be that like qualifies them as a contender for the Inspire Award. Um, and yeah, so it's just like an overall like best team. And then finally, we do have a couple of optional awards that teams can choose to like apply for and to choose to submit for. There's like the Compass Award, which is like to recognize a mentor, the Promote Award, which is uh like just like a fun video that like teams can do, and then the Dean's List Award, which is like a pretty prestigious award. It is given like if you are a sophomore or a junior in high school, you're eligible to apply for that. And you can make it like it's like similar to like the competitions where that you can make it all the way to state and also all the way to worlds and like win the actual Dean's List nomination. So yeah, it's very cool. And if you want like a more in-depth look or like description of all the awards, you can scan the QR code or you can just search it up. It should be on like the official FTC website. But yeah, do we have any questions so far?
Well, I know that it's I'm sort of like or like straight up, and sometimes I've done it. If I'm good, does that exist in NBC Trump, or do they just like
Wait, sorry, can you repeat that?
so the setup?
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. We have similar to FLL, we have like a pit area where like all teams they get like their own table. Um and like judges will I think I go over judging later in the presentation, but like judges will like come over and like talk to your teams and like ask questions and all of that. But yeah, we do have the same thing. Any other questions? Should I? Okay. I will move on then. Or not. Um, but yeah, so moving on, we have like advancement. So basically, like all the possible awards that like you can win, they are like ranked from like the highest award to like not like the lowest, but like this is like the order in which like teams will advance to the next competition. So yeah, so like teams that will win these awards, like this is like the order, yeah, basically this is the order that like teams will advance into the next competition for 'em. And if there are like overlapping awards, so like if a team is like, for example, if they're both like winning Alliance Captain and they also win like the Think Award, then you can just like easily move along to like the next team in the list in the ranking, so that you have like all like 7 teams ready to advance into the next competition. Yeah. Oh yeah.
What's the first criteria?
Yeah. So the first criteria, it usually is gonna be like basically the team that like organizes the competition or event. Usually they are like guaranteed a spot to the next one, but that doesn't apply here in Washington because like we don't have that rule. Like all of the events and competitions are organized by like First Y themselves. So yeah, you can just ignore that. Um, just think of Inspire Word as like first and then everything else. Yeah. Any other questions? Or okay. Oh yeah. So now we're gonna move on to outreach, which is a very, very important part of First Tech Challenge. And just to define it, like what is outreach? Outreach is generally like the goal of outreach is to like introduce or encourage people to participate in an organization, program, or initiative. And then within like the case of like First Washington or First Tech Challenge, your like outreach is basically like trying to get people to join into the first program as well as like to get interested in like STEM and that general field. And as we covered, like we already covered like the motivate and the connect award. And with those awards, it's like very easy to like kind of split outreach events into those 2 categories. So you have first like motivate events, which are generally like promoting first and STEM within your community. And then you have connect events, which is more reaching out to the professional community to engage like either with your team directly or like with your local community. And in addition, you can also categorize like outreach events by like how they're organized. So either you like teams will have like their own independently organized events, kind of like this one right here, because we are like it's like we organize this outreach and like this workshop like completely by ourselves. Like we're not like collaborating with anybody. But you can also have like events that like you do collaborate with existing organizations or existing events, such as like giving a robot demo at like a class or whatever. Yeah. And this is just going more in depth about like some types of motivate outreaches. You can do like robot demos and information sessions. You can do workshops similar to this one. And you can also create like robotics clubs or first clubs and mentor other teams in your community. Yeah, I'll just leave that up there for a bit. And yeah. And they are differentiated typically based on like how much time is needed and how much commitment is needed for each initiative or event. And just for some quick examples from like our own team, for like that picture on the left, we presented we did a robot demo and we did like a class at the American Car Museum, like in Tacoma. And then for here we also did a robot demonstration at like a UW robotics class. So all motivated type events. Okay. And then finally, we are going to cover like Connect events. Connect can be like Connect outreaches, they can be like mentoring, um, getting like a presentation from a professional. So like if a professional goes to your team and like kind of talks to you about like what their job is, like what their career field is. And then also like tours, which like if your team goes to like a company or whatever and like gets like a tour of like what they like their facility and like what they do. Yeah. And then for this example over here, we were able to tour like I believe it was the UW Boeing lab, the Boeing like robotics lab. So yeah, that was a pretty cool opportunity and a good Connect outreach. Yeah. Or just like there, do we have any questions so far on like the types of outreaches and like what outreaches? No? Okay, I will move on. So typically, the main way that like our team finds connections is either through like cold emailing and like and or personal connections. And so I'll just go over the first one. So for emailing, well, it might be like it is really tedious and honestly like a lot of the times you won't get any responses. You can find really, really cool opportunities just by like sending out an email and reaching out to like an organization. And so like for example, like we were able to get into like have a booth at CVPR, which is a computer vision conference this summer because we just like shot an email at like the organizers and like asked for like a booth and for like free attendance. But also at the same time, it is important to utilize your own personal connections, especially like finding like taking the time to like look for those opportunities that you can find yourself for outreach. So for example, like I tutored at like Jean May Elementary School like for a while back, and because of that, I was able to like get to talk to like one of the teachers and eventually the principal to organize a club there. Um, so yeah, like just always thinking of like outreach and looking for those opportunities is very effective. Yeah. And this is gonna be a very, very general outline of like what you want to keep in mind when you are like organizing outreach events. Basically, number one, consider the goal of your event and like what you want to do there. Number two, make the necessary preparations and like make sure that like everybody knows what they're bringing, everybody knows what they're doing there. And three, if you are like hosting your own event, you always want to make sure to like advertise and promote your event for your community. And like you want ideally like a 2 week time period for this. And yeah. And then number four, kind of similar, but just like set out goals and expectations like for your team members. So like I think like definitely when if you have like a lot of people coming to an outreach event, you want to make sure that like everybody has something that they can do and everybody is like on task that they're like yeah, and that they're focused. So that's important. And then finally, you want to make sure to document your event either through like photos, videos, or like numbers. Because that will be really, really important for like the EP and like everything um that we're gonna talk about later. Yeah. And then finally, just generally like for kind of I think like for everything that like you should be doing, but just make sure that you maximize like your impact for every outreach event. That is like the most important thing in my opinion. But yeah. Okay. So, as I mentioned before, documentation is a really, really, really important part of First Tech Challenge, and especially with like outreach, because you want to be able to like show to the judges and also show to like other members of your community that like you are like the work that you do and like how much impact you've made. And again, really good ways to do this are through like visuals, numbers, and also stories, because like just being able to like recount like after being able to like actively like recount and like know like what you did during an outreach and like what happened. Um, yeah, it was really good for judging. So yes. Okay, so before I move on to the judging section, do we have any questions on like the outreach part? Yeah.
Actual competition person set number seven.
Yeah.
But it's outreach, is there a timeline like from which period you did outreach or
Yeah, I think typically like most teams they count like their outreach for the upcoming season like right after the past season ends, if that makes sense. So like for us, we ended like after Worlds, which was like in April, and so like all of our outreach that we did like after and like during the summer, that's going to count towards like this new season. Yeah.
new teams? talent, right?
Uh,
Did you consider that one?
yeah, I think definitely like yeah, it would be challenging for new teams, but I think like outreach is something that like you kind of build on like over time. So like I think just like doing yeah, like yeah, I don't know, but yeah, definitely. Any other questions? Yeah.
Summarizing a bad level becomes just a diminished impact. When you get something a 5 work job, 4 work job, and
Yeah.
get done with it in 20 seconds.
Yeah. So I think it yeah, I think it definitely is difficult. Like it is hard to like summarize everything into like one like document or like a few pages. If I'm like I'm trying to remember, but like the way our team like formatted it, at least like for first of all like for the engineering portfolio, right? I think like we did a thing where like we first listed out like we had like a whole list of like all the important events that like in the most impactful events that like our team organized that our team like attended. And then we also had like separate sections where like we highlighted our most impactful like motivate outreaches, and then we highlighted our most impactful like connect outreaches. And so the definitely like in the EP it's about like highlighting like all of your strengths, right? But also I think during like in the pits we also had like posters that we'd put up just like kind of going more in depth into like more like outreach events. So that way like when judges if they come around you can just like point and be like, oh yeah, like this is like more information about like this like specific event. Um but yeah, like it is definitely like a lot of it is like hard like trying to like decide like what to highlight and like what to like what might be like lost in translation. I think it's just like a lot of like thinking, right? I'm not sure. But yeah. Any other questions or okay. And I will move on to judging. Okay. So judging is basically like the deciding factor for like all of the awards that you win in FTC. And typically the judges are either going to be like professionals that volunteer for first, or they might also be like parents and coaches of like other teams, but like they will make sure that like there's no like conflicts or like conflicting areas of conflicting areas of interest. But yeah. And at the for like competitions that have judging, which is like interleague all the way up to like worlds, you're gonna have a 10-minute judging session. Like each all teams will have a 10-minute judging session, in which the first 5 minutes are gonna be like completely up to your team. And that's gonna be like typically where you see like presentations and all of that. And then for the last 5 minutes, that's gonna be a Q&A where judges will like basically ask you about like your EP and like your presentation, and all of that. And then also in addition, there's gonna be like unannounced pit judging throughout the day, where like judges they might show up at your pits and like ask you questions to like learn more about what you're doing. But yeah, going over documentation again, there are three main forms of documentation for competitions and for judging. Number one is the engineering portfolio, which is the 15-page document that you're giving to the judges. And it cannot exceed over 15 pages, like that is the limit. Um, but you can also have an engineering notebook. You can't give that to the judges, and the judges they can't reference that like when like in their decision. But I think it's helpful for like your own team and like kind of documenting like everything throughout the season so that you can summarize it and like put all the best parts into the EP. And then finally, as I kind of talked about, we have posters and presentations, which are going to be useful not only for like your judging session where like your team is presenting, but also like during pit judging. Yeah. Yeah, like I think for our team we kind of had like a pretty even split of like we just try to like um honestly, I'm thinking now, I think we definitely had like more outreach and mechanical pages than software because like software there isn't like I don't think you can go like too much in depth to that, but it is definitely like up to like each team and like what they want to include and what they want to highlight. For example, like if you think your mechanical is like the best aspect of your team, then definitely like include more mechanical pages, right? But yeah.
So it's the first one, optional, like required.
Uh,
Engineering portfolio.
I think all of these are optional, but like definitely it's like if you want to do well in competitions, like you kind of have to have an engineering portfolio. Um, so yeah, like I'd say like that is kind of like a requirement if you want to compete at the competitions. Yeah. Oh.
So on the two slides, you have 5 minutes for presentation, 5 minutes to everything.
Yeah, basically, you have 5 minutes where like you kind of have to just like, yeah, like 5 minutes to just like talk about like everything outreach, mechanical, and like software, to your judges. And like obviously, I don't think it's important to include like super to go super into detail because definitely like if they want more details, they can just go to your pits and like ask you, right? So I think the main objective for that 5 minute presentation is just to like kind of highlight like what is your team's like unique aspect and like what is your like yeah, like what are your like main selling points for it?
The what level of detail they go because the judges might not be supporting. So people,
Oh yeah, I think they do like try and guarantee that like at least they're for like each judging panel, there's like typically like 2 to 3 judges when you like walk into the room, right? And at least like one of those three or one of those two, they will be technical. Yeah, so like they have like specifically like mechanical judges, software judges, and outreach judges. So they all are like experts in like their own area. But yeah, so should understand. Okay. Any other questions before I move on? Okay.
and then, sorry, one,
Oh yeah.
the most of the presentation will can take 5 minutes to do it.
Yeah. So like for our team, we kind of carried like these like big posters and we like just held each member like held them and like when we were talking we like kind of show like the poster on the side just to like kind of give more like depth, right? But yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like I think like trifolds posters. I think people have also brought in like monitors and computers to like show like videos or whatever. But I think like at least personally, I think I would recommend just like not like just showing a video for like your whole 5 minutes, like actually like presenting. But yeah, like just like any like type of display you can. Okay. I will move on. Yeah. Yeah, so this is kind of what we just like talked about. But during the judging presentation, you should include basically like the most impactful events that you have, your design processes and choices, and unique features and like aspects of your robot, either like in mechanical or like software terms. And and in addition, like I think having like a really good presentation is like really important. You want to focus on like being able to speak loudly and clearly so that your judges like understand what you're saying, right? And then like they get the information that you're trying to tell them. And also conveying information in an engaging way. You don't want to just be like droning on and on about like one topic. Like you want to be able to like capture their attention. And yeah, and a tip is just to like practice constantly, like leading up to the event. Like I think ideally you should practice um like almost like I don't know, like at least like as much as you can basically like leading up to the competition so that all the students like are fluent like with their lines and what they're gonna say. And yeah. And then covering like pit questions. Basically again like as we just covered, like judges are gonna drop by like unannounced like at your pits to like ask you questions for like the awards. And it's really, really important because of this. It's really important that you have at least like a few members, like throughout the competition, that you have at least a few members at the booth that like know mechanical, that they know software, they know outreach, so that like they won't like fumble when like the judges like ask questions, right? And it is definitely a good sign if you get pit questions like pit judging just like remember to like not be too nervous and to like kind of just like make it natural because they're just there to like learn more about your team and like what you guys do. And yeah.
Can you
Oh,
identify the judges or not? So, I,
oh sorry, what?
can you identify the judges or they're just regular people in the audience just going around?
uh I think they'll typically like just be judges. I'm not sure, like I know during worlds there are like people that like just like walk around to like walk by, but like I yeah, like normally like it'll just be judges like going around and you'll see them because they wear like the yellow bright yellow shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so you'll know who they are. Okay. Oh, okay, yeah. So I think we are moving on to the next activity after this, but do you guys have any other questions like about like everything that we covered so far? Nope. Okay. Oh yeah. Um, well, it's like 2:50. Oh yeah, we can take like a short break. And then we'll move on to like our activity for the day. But yeah, like I think like come back at like 3 probably, 3 o'clock. Yeah. Yeah. I think we get to like this. You can just remind me of like this before, right? What? Oh, yeah. It's on.
So if they just search up high definition 18225, yeah, on YouTube, you should see our YouTube channel, and we have a live stream going on right now. 18225 FTC. Yeah. And yeah, that's our team's channel, and we're live right now. Yeah, that's Check my battery.
It's like okay.
Yeah,
It's
I
good.
think you're good.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so should we
Yeah.
move on? Okay.
Say it's gonna end early.
Yeah. So our break is like basically over, but just like to let you guys know, we're probably gonna end early because we basically only have one other activity and then that's like the end of the workshop. So I think we'll probably end at like 4 o'clock for reference. But yeah. So if you want to introduce.
Yeah, so we're gonna be having or we're gonna do a marketing competition where you'll be split up into groups of 3 or 4 and you'll have 30 minutes to design a poster, up to three, one on First Lego League, one on First Tech Challenge, and then one on First Robotics League. And these will be like info sessions. Um, you can only make physical posters and we'll provide art supplies. And then at the end, you'll present your posters to the audience and also a panel of judges, and we'll score you based on the rubric. And after everyone has presented, we'll give you feedback on the posters and then announce winners. So this is the competition rubric, and a link will be provided on the next slide.
Wait, also just a note, we aren't doing multiple posters. I think we're just gonna like split you guys up into like so one table will be like FLL, one table will be FTC and then the other one is FRC. Yeah. But I think everything else is like the same.
Yeah. Yeah, and you should plan out your presentation for uh when the time runs out. And ideally, like everyone in your group should be a part of the presentation. This is like an example of a poster that that our team made, and the link to the competition rubric is there.
So this is just like kind of a quick activity, like to try and have you guys like practice their presentation skills. And also like trying to like consolidate like information that you have into like good ways to like into like presentable ways. But yeah, it'll be good for like judging and it's overall like a good skill to have. Um, but yeah, we'll get started and you guys have like 30 minutes to work. So yeah. Uh, no, here, I can go back, yeah. So you make like a poster, like I think we will split you up. So like how about like the front group, you guys can do like you guys can cover FLL, First Lego League. You guys can cover like First Tech Challenge, and then like the back group can cover First Robotics Challenge. But basically the idea is you want to like like research those like programs and then like put like kind of like try to like market it, try to sell it. So like imagine like you're telling like you're trying to like sell like the program and like trying to convince people to join the program, right? And you're gonna create a poster for that and also create a presentation for that. And you're gonna present it to like us, the judge. Does that kind of make sense? Okay, awesome.
Right. The rules are inside the tiny URL that's
Oh yeah.
provided on the last screen.
So you can visit like that link to learn more. But yeah, we'll just get started then. You guys have like 30 minutes. Yeah.
Activities open. Yes. So we have an outreach planning next week, so we place that for a business.
Wait, Ethan, can we just have them all do FTC? Because like that would be the most helpful. Sure. Okay, so I guess everybody, you guys can all do. All you guys are all doing the same.
So it's like the right what we do. Can we say about our team? We have a very nice meeting. Yeah. You watch. No, you focus.
And do you want to full screen it?
Mainly, like, what is the object of the poster to me so encourage them to join FTC or participate in robotics
It's just like,
or raise the funds.
yeah, it's just like promoting like more kind of like first presenting
I take that.
presenting like information about FTC and what it is, but also like connecting people to join, right? So what are the benefits of it? Like what can you get from the program? Um, but yeah, it's just like yeah, it's not gonna be
Yeah. But like, okay, if it's, they get inspired and they want to join this team, but we cannot recruit them, whatever. We like, so that if you object to all this one, it's to encourage them to like participate in FTC.
like general participation,
Yeah.
like not like specifically like oh join our team or like join
Yeah.
this team. Yeah, just like general.
To bring awareness.
Yeah.
Okay, so how you are raising funds for your team?
We do either through like voluntary matching with like parents or coaches, or we also do like we reach out to like grants or like companies because there are like a lot of organizations that provide grants to like first teams. So like you usually just have to like fill out an application, and there are like definitely like a lot for like rookie teams too. But yeah, like that is actually that's like our main way of getting.
I saw there is only one grant that is not really much, $740.
I think like
But you guys got like a lot of the grants, you got a lot of
I think majority of our money is for like volunteer matching, but
players.
yeah, but I think like a lot yeah, we do get like a considerable amount from grants. And if you ever need like I think we do have a list of like
Okay.
FTC grants that like you guys can check out.
So and yeah, I saw other grants. We need to go through those. Mostly like once we really do something, otherwise we can. So do you do outreach for fundraising?